So I'm going to call the meeting to order. Administration Public Works. First item on our agenda is approval of the minutes from the regular December 9 meeting. Okay, all right. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. We have, I'm going to have the person who signed up to speak first so that we don't deal with the issue before. Jim, do you want to come up? I don't know if you want to speak or if you just signed in or what. You signed up to speak. Come speak. Welcome.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for having me. Hi, Suzette. My name is Jim Hunick. I'm Executive Director of the Northwest Center Against Sexual Assault. We're a rape crisis center that has offices in Evanston, sharing space with the YWCA. And I'm here basically to ask for your support for one of the items on the agenda relating to the partnership between Northwest CASA and the Children's Advocacy Center to rent space in the Civic Center so that we can provide professional services to Evanston residents for no charge. I was looking at our work in the last year, and last year we served 18 residents with our counseling and advocacy program. These were all victims of sexual violence, and we responded to 29 medical calls at St. Francis Hospital during the year as well. So it's a service that's direly needed, and this will give us an opportunity to anchor the services in Evanston, and again, to provide free services for Evanston residents who are victims of sexual violence.
So you only serve Evanston residents?
We serve 30 communities in north and northwest suburban Cook County.
But you're located elsewhere also? So
Yes.
you don't have to, yeah.
Yes.
But if somebody called, then you would serve it.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions, anybody? I don't see any lights. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
We'll get to your item shortly. All right, moving right along, we have items for consideration, the payrolls and the bills. Alderman Grover, or no, I mean Alderman Burris.
A1, I ask your approval of the City of Evanston payroll through 12/1/2013 in the amount of $2,623,163.03. Also, the City of Evanston payroll through 12/15/2013 in the amount of $2,690,925.76. And the City of Evanston payroll through 12/29/2013 in the amount of $2,675,887.53.
Any discussion, any issues having to do with any of the bills? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'll do A2 as well.
Yes, please.
A2, I ask your approval of the City of Evanston bills for 1/14/2014 in the amount of $5,318,551.94. And credit card activity period ending November 30th, 2013 in the amount of $105,302.14. And I think we have some answers to the bills list.
You do. Does anybody need time to take a look? Okay. Do you want to take time? Okay. We're going to take a few minutes, Alderman Burris. Take a look, please. For those of you who don't know, we submit questions regarding all the bills, and sometimes we don't get a chance to go online this morning to look at the answers, so we get them. So we're just taking a quick look at the answers to our questions. Alderman Braithwaite.
Thank you, Chair Rainey. I just had a quick question for the chief.
Chief? Which
Oh.
chief?
Chief Eddington, I won't say the only one that matters. Where's Chief Kleiberg?
It's the only-
But I didn't see Chief Kleiberg
they're
in the room.
both here.
Chief
They're-
Kleiberg, oh, there you are, behind the pole. I didn't see you. That's the only reason. I did not see him behind the pole.
One
Chief,
is fire and one is police.
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Anyway, it was response to page 33, the current technologies in the ETHS camera. If you could just kind of share with us what's going on with that. Give us the verbal explanation. Thank you.
Yes, sir. This has been an ongoing project in conjunction with ETHS through the course of several discussions between the city and ETHS. Her Honor committed to an improvement of the lights and some additional cameras around ETHS, and this is that project. I hope that the cameras outlined in that particular billing will be operational in the next 45 to 60 days, and I will ask Director of Public Works Suzette Robinson to comment on the status of the lights because I'm uncertain.
The lights are all done, and they're in there. They're installed already.
Okay. So I noticed that the actual camera, the emergency stations in front of the high school, but it doesn't look like it doesn't look like they're operational right now.
I don't believe that they are, but I will check and get an email out to council tomorrow.
Okay.
Are they monitored? Are they monitored at the high school or at the police department?
They can be, the images can be seen in both places, Alderman.
Anything else? Anybody else? Any other questions on any other? Thank you, Chief.
But the other chief would be happy to answer any other questions.
Do you have anything to share with us tonight? All right. Hearing no other issues regarding, did you do credit card activity? She did, okay. Hearing no other issues, all those in favor of recommending to the council approval of the city payrolls that we've just mentioned and the bills and credit card activity, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Alderman Grover?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move our approval of the contract for the purchase of CCTV pipeline inspection equipment with a sole source vendor, EJ Equipment from Manteno, Illinois, in the amount of $37,061.
Any discussion? A second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of recommending to the council? Aye. Any opposed? Alderman Holmes?
Madam Chair, I move approval of the sole source contract with Hydro International for the purchase of Vortex restrictors. Staff recommends that the City Council authorize the city manager to execute a sole source contract for the purchase of Vortex restrictors with Hydro International in the amount of $70,350. Funding is provided by the sewer account 7400.65055 and 7400.65080.
All right. Any discussion about the Vortex restrictors? Hearing none. All those in favor of recommending to the council, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Alderman Braithwaite?
I'd like to move item A, 3.3, approval of the Solid Waste Agency of Northern Cook County disposal fees for 2014. Staff is recommending approval of the 2014 refuse disposal fees to Swank. Funding is provided by the Solid Waste Fund accounts 7685.68310.
Okay. All right. Any discussion on this? Alderman Grover?
Just wanted to bring to your attention a memorandum that Director Robinson provided us that highlights our reduction by 5,000 tons per year since 2008 in the amount of refuse the city generates, which has resulted in a corresponding decrease in the amount that we spend for disposal of that waste every year. So congratulations, Evanston.
Excuse me, how do you see that there's a corresponding decrease in the, where? In 2008, all right, well, But the fixed costs seem to continue to rise there.
Yeah.
But the amount that we pay for actual disposal based upon the tonnage we
Or the
produce
disposal.
has
Yeah, that's
declined
true.
since
That's true.
2008. It's called diversion to recycling, I hope.
We hope, yeah. Yes.
I wanted to point out the fixed costs are actually going down too. What has consistently remained the same is our proposed budget. We're very cautious in light of there was a contract dispute at one point where we needed additional funding, so we do leave a little bit of contingency on both sides. So that's why we have reduced our operating and maintenance costs. Used to be at $1.2 million. We have cautiously reduced it down to $1 million, even though we're coming in well under. So those numbers for 2014 are actually the budgeted numbers.
So you're saying it may be a better number at the end of the year, because in 2011, it was $724,000, right?
That's correct. That's correct. And for 2013, we only spent $681. So if we generate even less waste this year, that figure should go down as well. So even though we have $1 million budgeted for 2014.
Given the increase in the large garbage can, have you seen an increase in the number of people switching to the smaller can?
Not nearly as when we first established the tier, but we did that. We have a little bit of an uptick in the number of people requesting the change, but it's kind of quieted down. So not really that many.
Yeah. Keep your fingers crossed.
Gotta wait to get that first water bill, then I think.
All right.
Which came in the mail today.
Anybody else?
Oh, well,
Yeah,
then.
I got mine.
I got mine today.
Anybody else have any questions? Hearing none. All those in favor of supporting the Solid Waste Agency of Northern Cook County disposal fees, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Alderman Burris. Oh, yeah, Alderman Burris.
I'd like to move item A 4.1. Staff recommends City Council authorize the city manager to execute change order number 1 to an agreement for engineering services for the Evanston Water Utility 48-inch diameter intake improvements project with Carrillo Engineers Incorporated in the not-to-exceed amount of, I believe it's supposed to be $675. Is that correct?
75,000 probably.
I think it's, Suzette, is that right? It's off.
No, it's right on the blue sheet.
The blue sheet, it's a comma, and I wasn't sure if there's supposed to be more numbers after that. 75, thank you. Increasing,
We don't often see a number that
That's
low.
low.
yeah, I was very confused. Comma, got it, thank you. Increasing the contract amount from $159,983 to $160,658. This change order will also extend the contract completion date by 12 months from March 31st, 2014 to March 31st, 2015.
Does anybody want to speak to this at all? I mean, this is really very interesting and looking good for going forward. The whole concept of,
Right.
I don't know if everybody understands what we're doing. So could you just give us a little piece?
Sure. My name is Laura Biggs. I'm the Superintendent of Construction for the Utilities Department. So when we had a frazzle ice issue in 2009, we, in an emergency basis, basically, we received some ARA funding and established a heating system on our 54-inch diameter intake, which has been very successful. But we have 3 intakes, and we rarely just have one fail-safe at the water plant. We like to have a backup system. So in the event that there was a problem with this heating system, we're installing it on a second intake. And what that involves is basically they put a heating element around the cone of the intake and run electric cables through the intake itself, a mile out into the lake, and attach it. And it just raises the temperature of the water a fraction of a degree, but that's enough to keep the ice from sticking when it starts icing up. And so we might get slushy water into the water plant, but we still get water through. So it's been very effective. We've seen times when we do get that slushy water in, But we might even see our flow drop a little bit, but we've been able to maintain our flow and not having any more major freezing events.
You said that other communities don't necessarily do this. Why,
No.
why is that that their water doesn't freeze?
Well, their water does freeze, but in Evanston, we have a limited amount of storage. A lot of other communities have much more storage on site, so they might have a full 48 hours of storage at their site, and we really don't. We have more, about 12 hours worth of storage.
That makes sense.
So this is much less expensive than building the additional storage, although we wouldn't mind having additional storage too. Lots of layers of reliability.
Right. All right, thank you very much.
Okay.
All right, any questions? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving this for the council, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Alderman Grover? Who's next?
I move approval of A4.2, which is change order number 1 for our Davis Street water main and sewer replacement project in the not-to-exceed amount of $69,592.43. This is a contract we have with Boulder Contractors Incorporated. It increases the agreement amount to $2,717,792.43.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to share with the committee that on our NWEB committee, this company is one of 6 companies that currently are not LEP compliant. And so I don't know if there's anyone here from the staff that could answer the question this evening to let me know if they're currently compliant.
Can you tell us what LEP is?
Sure. So we have a local employment preference for any position that's 250,000 K or more where public dollars are being used. So the expectation is that the company will hire someone or at least look at a candidate from our LEP pool. My understanding, and I don't want to give the report, I'd much rather hear from staff who took in the information, but my understanding is this company decided not to participate after agreeing to participate in the LEP program, and then decided to just go ahead and pay the fine based on the number of days.
Interesting.
And so because the job took a little bit longer than anticipated, they then later came back to the city per staff and requested a relief of the fine. And so I just want to sort those pieces of the puzzle out before we release any additional dollars to the company.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, I'm Homayun Piruz, city engineer. The contractor contacted us back in the middle of the summer, and they told us they tried to find a Evanston resident to work with them on the project, and they were unsuccessful. We went back and forth with them several times, and every time the answer was that they couldn't find anyone. In terms of paying the fines, they have agreed to pay the fines because they are in violation and the city requires them to pay the fine. So that part is it's under control.
What proof do they provide that they tried to find a
Right.
person?
That
We have 75,000 people
Yeah,
in
that's
this town.
garbage.
I think,
Sorry, it is. I mean, how do you...
I bet there's somebody in this room that could have done
Good
it.
evening, Madam Chair,
Yeah.
members of the committee. You know, we have been discussing this since August, and Sharon Johnson was in the loop that they had to hire the union employees, and they could not find. Especially this is a water main and sewer project, a little bit more skilled, so they could not find the right people. And they agreed in the beginning that they will pay the fine because they could not find the people to fit their whole crew.
Mr. Gar, I would still like to hold this over. If that's the case, then I think you can request from the company to provide evidence where they advertised and who did they contact. I don't believe it.
Yeah, I think we need to have a better documentation in future and ask for contractors to show us some proofs that they actually cannot find the right skilled people for their projects. And I'll personally look into it that will happen.
We need to maybe change the requirements, too. Yes. go ahead.
Yeah,
And,
that would be a good idea. But didn't we have a number of Evanston residents who were trained
Years ago.
way back when, I mean, well, some of them should still be around. I would imagine that they would still be around in Evanston who would know how to do some of the sewer work.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I would think that, did they ask the city for some help? I mean, we don't
Who did
know
they
who
talk
they
to?
We
asked.
don't know, we don't know.
We don't know who they asked.
So can we hold this?
Well, let's find out what the work is that has
Right.
to be done, how urgent, is it something in the middle of the project or added on? or-
Well, this is a balancing change order for the work. That means the work is 100% completed.
Oh.
We're paying him for what we owe them. This is a change order for about 2.5% of
Small.
the total contract price, which is very reasonable for this size project.
Do we have anything in the contract that says we hold back money until it's all complete and blah, 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 blah? Is that, or is
We
that?
always keep monies for punch list items, et cetera. But they have done everything we asked them to do, again, with the exception of the not having an Evanston resident on the job.
I don't see why, if our lawyer isn't jumping up and down saying we have to pay right now, that we can't hold this for 2 weeks, right? And then, but say what you want.
To hold it, I would like for you to come back with the understanding that they said they advertised. Let's just find out where they advertised and to whom they advertised to. Is that fair?
Sure, it is fair, and we'll ask them and find out more details about what kind of effort they actually
Thank you.
took place in the summer. I don't have that details, that much details on this particular item.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Thanks very much.
anytime, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Madam
Alderman
Chair,
Holmes.
I would like to move approval of the memorandums of understanding and amendment to number 1 to the agreement with the MWH Americas Incorporated for engineering service for water supply transmission main study. Staff recommends City Council authorize the city manager to, 1, negotiate and execute a memorandum of understanding for a revised transmission main study for the potential supply of water from the city of Evanston to the villages of Niles, the village of Morton Grove, the city of Park Ridge, and the village of Glenview. And 2, negotiate and execute amendment number 1 to the agreement with MWH Americas Incorporated for a revised water supply transmission main study in the not-to-exceed amount of $24,600 and extending the completion date to April 16, 2014. Funding is provided by the Water Fund.
Second. Very exciting. Does anybody, Dave, you want to say anything about this? Just sort of elaborate how exciting this is going forward?
Madam Chair and members of the committee, Dave Stoneback, Utilities Director. Yes, we are very excited. Two of the communities participated in the study earlier, and two of them did not, obviously. So they have formed an alliance together now to work together to try to find alternate water supply other than the city of Chicago. And they came back to Evanston, and we provided them a cost per 1,000 gallons based on a cost of service study model that we completed. And then we also indicated that we would work with them to update the transmission main study so they would have all the figures that they would need to have to move forward or to compare purchasing water from Evanston from another wholesale seller that they are looking at as well.
Will they have to go, will these communities have to go to their taxpayers or their voting public to do a referendum to make a change? Or would that be a staff or council decision?
To switch their water supply?
Right, yeah.
I believe, I'm not sure that they would have to go to their staff for that, but the cost of constructing the transmission main would
And
be
that's the
something that they
council,
would have to
yeah.
go to their city council, and as they did that, they would inform them they're doing this in order to
But
purchase.
not a referendum?
No, not to my knowledge, no.
Very exciting. Any comments from the council?
And then our part of this cost will be someplace between $4,000 and $5,000, so not the whole 24. Is that correct?
That is correct, and all four communities went in,
participate.
so our cost will be $4,920 if they go to the full amount of the contract.
Okay.
Thank you very much. It's great. All right, all those in favor of recommending the memorandum of understanding to the council, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Alderman Burris,
Alderman Braithwaite.
or Braithwaite, I'm sorry.
For A7?
Yep,
A6.
Oh, sorry. Approval of agreement with the AT&T for downtown Evanston Wi-Fi network. Staff recommends that the city council authorize the city manager to enter into an agreement with AT&T to provide a wireless network in sections of downtown using city infrastructure that will provide both private and public wireless access at the street level in the areas defined.
Is there a second?
Yeah, with Jane did, but I would second it as well.
I guess I'd like to know I'm not sure, I don't understand how this works. I understand how Wi-Fi works, but what's in this for AT&T?
It's a great
I
question.
mean, or is this just a public,
Service.
Good
just
evening.
reaching out to the public to be nice?
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Marty Lyons, Assistant City Manager. What AT&T has done is determined where they have lack of throughput, if you will, for their network during certain times. Maybe it's game times, maybe when the downtown is totally busy and on Saturdays. And they came to us and said, well, we're looking at either hanging infrastructure off of private buildings, but we don't see that as being an optimal solution and would require a different set of analysis, or using public infrastructure. And in looking at it from using public infrastructure, what we looked at was, well, do we wish to get another rent payment, just like we would for a cellular tower, or wouldn't it be nice to start off with a free Wi-Fi network in the downtown for mainly for foot traffic and the sidewalk cafes, but would just be another benefit attracting businesses to the downtown. And one of the other parts, as noted at the end of the report, is we're also still working with AT&T to get to wireless connectivity at 2 of our beach sites as a part of this project.
But you don't see that as the end, right? The 2 beach sites. I mean,
No,
I'm thinking
we
of the other
definitely don't see it
business
at the end, but we want to, if this is a way to leverage some private capital to move forward with some of our efforts, we think it's a great way to get things started. As you can see, it's not a complete map. I think once we also show success, we could also approach AT&T and say, gee, we'd like to fill in the holes, or they might say the same thing. Or we could have some competition that would say we'd like to fill in holes. Our goal would be for a business person, resident, whomever, visitor, to be able to open up that electronic device and have connectivity.
Are you looking to the committee and the council to give direction about whether or not user AT&T customers versus non-customers should be involved? Because I certainly want non-customers also to be involved.
That is part of we are recommending that we go with the public, but obviously it's up to the council. We could also take the money and run.
I'd be glad to give up the money. How much is it?
Well, an average, we didn't get all the way through to that. An average cell tower is about $20,000 a year.
Right. Yeah, I know.
So we think in the downtown, you hit a home run with a nice tech firm or something like that, it would pay more than that.
But this on-the-ground Wi-Fi isn't for big projects. It's for checking your email and,
There is some limited, AT&T also would like to see on the public Wi-Fi, you can bet they'll have a note saying, would you like to have bigger throughput, sign up for our network
Right.
and get the bigger pipe.
Right.
That's a business decision that we don't need to be involved in.
Alderman Grover?
So I'm assuming they'll be looking to do some advertising through this connectivity as well. I think I prefer access to wall rather than just limited to AT&T customers. We're talking about really, 15 by 15-inch boxes on light posts. They're not intrusive. They're not taking up a lot of space, and I see a much larger public benefit from opening up and offering Wi-Fi access to more in our downtown.
Excellent.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Any other comments? Any other direction? All right, hearing none. But I do think that we should continue to pursue the opportunities in the other business districts, because that's where it would really make a big difference. not that it wouldn't in the downtown. All right, all those in favor of recommending the AT&T proposal to the council?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
I move A7. Staff recommends that the city council receive and file a report on vacant property fine at 1890 Maple Avenue.
Is there a second? Is there anybody who, you didn't sign up?
Oh, I'm
You
sorry.
can't speak, I'm sorry.
I didn't know I had to
No,
sign up.
you can speak. But I think one of the important things is, no, stay right there. One of the important things is that somebody explain what's in the report. It sounds like we're not doing anything, but we really are doing something. So would you like to explain it, Pete?
Yes.
Just the
Right.
end, the final
end, yeah.
results.
I'll
The
spare everyone the details. This is really silly. I spoke to Mr. King, and the goal this evening was just to receive the report, but he just received the letter this morning.
That's correct.
And in the letter in your packets on page 140, our city manager addresses the credit, and it basically stated that the credit of the next payment would be refunded through permit fees, but Mr. King is requesting that the source of the payment be returned back to his original account. And so when I spoke to the city manager a moment ago, he said that he needed council's direction to do that. So here we are with our conversation.
So the money's
So-
going to be returned. It's a question of where it goes.
Which source, right.
That's
And
correct.
All right, Alderman Grover, do you have anything to say before he speaks?
So,
I do have comments on other parts of
right,
Yeah, I do too.
yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm Bob King, Madam Chairman, members of the committee, Alderman Braithwaite, thank you very much for having me here. I am the co-developer, with my partner Steve Fifield, we're developing the 1890 Maple project. Alderman Braithwaite thought it might be a good idea if I came to answer questions about the letter and the response. I'm happy to do that. But also, he wanted me to update the members of the committee on the progress that we're making at the development. And I must tell you, until this last weather episode, we were doing very, very well. I think we've lost probably 4 days, but by and large, we are we're hitting the 4 words or 5 words developers want to hear are we're on budget and on time, and we are with this project. And I think that goes in large measure to the cooperation and the kind of assistance we've gotten from Director Robinson and her staff, also from Mr. Hallen, who's been working with us in terms of our permit and the permit process. That's gone very, very well. It's gone swimmingly. And again, the construction of the project, which is really, really very intricate, as you might suspect. I mean, there are millions of pieces, individual. It's a handmade project, so there are millions of different sequences that have to go on in a project of this magnitude. But it is on budget and on schedule, so that's the best thing I can tell you. It's about 15% complete at this point. We will have, I think, Alderman Grover, occupancy by the end of the year, some occupancy, and we're still scheduled to complete this thing on or about the second quarter of 2015. So I'm very happy if the weather gods will give us a break here, we'll be fine. I think we'll catch up the days and we'll be just fine. Again, so that's the update on the project. I'm happy to entertain any questions on where we are there, if there are any. And of course, I'm happy to entertain questions on the matter that originally brought me before your committee.
Alderman Grover?
The way that we reimburse this obligation doesn't matter to me. I found that the really interesting stuff in this agenda item was the summary of the vacant building process and our activities, and I hope that at some point we can get a list of vacant properties online on the city's website so neighbors can monitor the progress of the vacant properties. Mr. Knieve and I had a good conversation about that today. And then the additional information about the Affordable Housing Fund, the revenue to the fund and how we have dispersed those proceeds. So,
Yeah, I did see that. It was interesting.
all of it was very interesting.
$500,000 balance in the fund, and of which we
unfortunately
have contributed $200,000 of the $500,000.
But it was
So
kind of
we're happy to
buried
report that.
behind
Yes, it was. But
correspondence about $2,400. But the real interesting stuff was the substance about our process and procedures on affordable housing and vacant properties.
Well, I think what's really interesting is when, and I don't know if staff or you can tell us this.
Yes, Alderman.
The date on the first letter notifying you of registering your vacant property, was that after the original plan development was approved?
Yes, ma'am. We've been before this committee for...
But that was, the answer is yes. The
Yes,
first, all right.
that's correct.
One of the requirements for being a vacant building is you must not have a for rent sign out or a for sale sign out. Now, if you had been approved as a plan development for a pending project, why would you put a for rent or for sale sign on your building? That would be really stupid, because the first thing the planning department or the building department would do would be come to you and say, what are you doing? You've got a plan development. We've just approved it.
I agree.
Why are you renting?
I would certainly think that.
So I think if no other reason for not being accused of having a vacant building, that would be it. Why would you want to be renting? You've got a planned development, you've got a building that has a totally different status than a vacant building. And so I think that is one of the things that has to be very carefully looked at. Just because you don't have a for rent sign out, just because you don't have a for sale sign out, does not mean you should be tagged as a vacant. The building is
We're
vacant,
in process
obvious,
here. We've been in process for a long time.
But the point is that we have a category of vacant buildings, and the reason we have that category is because they are so problematic. They cause all sorts of issues, and that wouldn't be a building that had been a property that had been qualified for a planned development. Planned development is not an easy process. We all know to go through, and
I
this
agree.
building. So I just wanted to make sure that the vacant building fine or designation was after the plan development. I think
One other
that's it.
just very small point. I
We have
read
a
the-
lot to do.
I'm sorry. There was a wrong address on the notices too. It did not include our suite number. We are in a very big building, and just for the record.
All right.
All right. Any
whatever,
other questions?
whatever.
I'm happy to.
No. Yes. I would, how to distribute the money.
I would like it to come back to the original entity, Madam Chairman, that paid the fine in the first place, and that would be Park Investments.
That makes sense. Make that amendment. It's
Yeah,
amendment.
I'll make an amendment, and I may have to move just because it's only asking that we accept the report, that we direct the city manager to pay the fine or the fee back to the entity that Mr. King will designate in a later date.
But we
Well,
do
it's
have a
parking.
motion that we accept the report
Report.
with that amendment.
Yes,
Okay,
thank you, Chair.
All those in favor of recommending this to the council, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Committeeman.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
King. Good luck with your
Thank you.
building.
Thank you.
All right,
Madam
next
Chair?
item.
I move approval of the proposed lease agreement with the Northwest Center Against Sexual Assault for leasing space at the Civic Center here at the Civic Center, which would also include the Children's Advocacy Center of North and Northwest.
I just wanted to say that I talked to the Y today, and there was just nothing but glowing reports about your organization. So good luck here. Hopefully you have no customers. All right, any other comments? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Next item is collective bargaining agreement.
A9, Resolution 1-R-14, collective bargaining agreement with the International Association of Firefighters, Local 742. Staff recommends City Council approval of Resolution 1-R-14 to authorize the city manager to execute a collective bargaining agreement with the International Association of Firefighters, Local 742, effective January 1, 2014 through December 31, 2016.
Second.
Any discussion of this? This is for 2 years. It's very interesting. Pardon me? Is it 3 years?
This is a contract for 3 years.
Oh, right. Oh, you're
Where
right.
the
All-
norm would be a 2-year contract, and this
Right.
one, we're taking it through the end of 2016.
You're absolutely right. I'm sorry. Not reading correctly. All right. No comments on this. All those in favor of recommending to the council, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next is,
Item A10, Madam Chair. I'd like to move Resolution 5-R-14, authorizing the city manager to negotiate a contract for the purchase of real property located at 721-723 Howard Street in Evanston, Illinois. Staff is recommending, I don't think I need to read this again. Staff is recommending approval of the Resolution 5-R-14, authorizing the city manager to negotiate a contract for the purchase located at 7123 Howard Street in Evanston, Illinois. And then the funding is provided by the Howard Ridge TIF. And it's for action.
Right. I'd just like to say a few comments about this.
Yeah.
First of all, our staff has been extraordinary in negotiating this and keeping in touch with all the parties involved. And I have to say a few words about BMO Harris. Not too many weeks ago, some people called it a rant. Some people called it an expression of anger. Some people called it, pardon me? Effective. We could not get any response out of BMO Harris. It's a foreclosed bank-owned property, and they really appeared to not care. About less than 24 hours later, all sorts of phone calls started being returned, people from Wisconsin, people from Chicago, including community representatives who were watching videos of the council, shocked and appalled that anything like this could be said about BMO Harris. And we started negotiating at $140,000, and we are now down to, almost half that amount. So this is a very important piece of property on Howard Street. It's a very important tool in putting together the plan for the theater projects and others. So thank you, staff. You did a great job. And thank goodness for council videos, because they actually got to see what happened. So, yes, Alderman Grover, did you want to say something? No? All right. Hearing no other comments, all those in favor of recommending this to the council, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, moving
Aye.
right along. Thank
Aye.
you, everybody.
I move approval of A11, Ordinance 4-0-14, permitting issuance of a Class C liquor license to Agam on Clarks Incorporated.
This is for introduction. You're going to explain this to us, right?
Yeah.
What do you need explaining for?
Booze for breakfast? I
Yeah, I
don't
was
know.
going to,
Talk to us. Introduce yourself and tell us who you
My
represent.
name is Tom Sadas. In October, I'll have owned Clark's for 20 years. It's been there since 1986. We don't just serve breakfast, as a lot of people think we only do. And our Bloody Marys people want. And we need to increase sales. Rent's expensive. It's, so every little dollar helps. So it'd be great if we can serve beer or wine with a burger, Bloody Mary, Bellini. It's not going to be the brunt of our business. Obviously, we've been there for a long time, but it would help with our sales and be able to stay in business. There's a lot of competition out there. A lot of people have the liquor licenses in the area, and we'd like to be able to compete with everybody else. I think we might be one of the oldest, if not the oldest, restaurant in Evanston, and
Do you think so? I mean, maybe?
it's been there forever.
been there
Yeah, it has been there.
1986.
I used to go there.
Really, a long, I never thought about that. It might
Yeah, it's
be.
been there forever.
Yeah.
I was in high
Well,
school, we was there.
Very interesting.
Everyone who wants Clark's, great restaurant.
It is.
It really
Great
is
breakfast.
great
Thank you.
food.
We just want to supplement the food every little bit. Even if you sell 2-3 drinks a day, it adds at the end of the month. And
I have one.
Okay. Alderman Braithwaite.
And I'm sure it's in the packet, but just for the public who's watching, what are your hours that you're recommending for your alcohol sales, seeing that you're pretty much, you're known for your
we're
breakfast?
Open, but
Okay.
I don't think we'll be selling alcohol past midnight at the latest. But realistically,
early?
Or before 10 o'clock in the morning.
Well, that's-
Yeah,
No,
we're
no,
open
no.
to it. I mean, that's not an issue. I'm willing to whatever you guys recommend is fine. We're not looking to,
The hours will be pretty clear.
yeah.
All right. And this is Alderman Holmes.
And not just for this one, but I know when we discussed Starbucks not so long ago, and we talked about them serving alcohol in the afternoon for their at that restaurant. And I guess I'm looking over at Mr. Farrar. Are we looking at some kind of coordinated times for this? Because that was my question in terms of when I read this, on the proposal, it says starting at 11 a.m. Monday through Saturday, I believe it is, and then noon on Sundays. And I know that was like a 4 o'clock thing that we did for Starbucks. And I'm just wondering, are we being consistent in what we say to people? That's all I'm saying, in terms of times, when they can start serving alcohol.
Chair Rainey, members of the committee, Grant for our Corporation Counsel. With respect to the license, the Starbucks issue was a distinct carve-out. It's a policy determination, so that doesn't necessarily affect the other licenses that are taken on a one-by-one basis. The current code language applicable to this license class as a whole has the specific times as delineated. However, since liquor regulations are by nature local in character, it's entirely appropriate for the mayor and the city council to do carve-outs with respect to specific licenses. So that's what was done in the case of Starbucks, due to the exigent circumstances and the novelty of the business model that was presented in that instance.
Mm-hmm. I just have concerns about restaurants where they're serving families, kids, and that kind of thing starting just too early. That must be my only concern. And I don't have a particular time. 10 o'clock would be a little early, but I just think we should be consistent though if we're going to have.
It says 11, right?
It says 11 on here, yeah, and I just have not paid it says 11 Monday through Saturday, and then noon on Sunday. But I'm just wondering about other ones. I have never paid attention to it only because I was familiar with Clark's. Right. And so I thought, that's kind of early, but
I think the discrepancy comes with the ending hour as opposed to.
Well, yeah, but I could care less about the ending hour, but.
No.
I don't. I think, people are going
Alderman
to
Grover?
drink whatever they want.
My sense is that the Starbucks request was specific to an
Got
evening
that.
program, so it was, they weren't looking to serve the wine and beer any earlier than happy hour, essentially.
No, and I got that, but what I'm saying is that if we have a lot of requests, and now it seems that everybody wants to serve beer and wine, and I understand it. I certainly understand the business aspect of it, but I'm simply saying, do we want to be consistent?
Yeah, we do.
With what we're saying to the businesses in terms of when they can start serving. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm asking.
And the consistency comes in the ordinances. It says 11.
Okay.
Right, so under this liquor class,
Then it's 11.
11
Under this
a.m.
class.
11 a.m. on
even
Saturdays,
think
noon
about
on
serving
Sundays.
Before 11.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think this is entirely consistent with the ordinance itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Good luck. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Did you want to speak, Peter? Okay. All right. All those in favor of recommending this license for Clark's, Alderman Grover, your light, did I just not turn it off? Okay. Recommending to the council the license for Clark's, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Next.
Madam Chair, I move approval of A12, which is ordinance 5014, decreases the number of Class G liquor licenses for Trader Joe's East because they will be relinquishing a Class G liquor license in favor of a Class F liquor license following the reorganization of our liquor code.
All right. That's interesting. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion of that? Hearing none, all those in favor of recommending introduction of Trader Joe's new license or elimination of their license, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
If I may, to A13 as
Yes,
well, which is
please.
the issuance of the Class F liquor license to Trader Joe's East. That's ordinance 6014.
All right. Second? I'm seconding. All those in favor of recommending the new license to the council, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Alderman Holmes?
Ordinance 7-0-14, increasing the number of Class C liquor licenses for L3 Evanston LLC, doing business as Lafey Kitchen. I guess that's how you pronounce it. Lafey? Lafey?
Life.
Life? Oh, just Life. Oh, okay.
LYFE.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Is
All
there a
right.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Are you from Life?
I am.
Could you introduce yourself?
Good evening. My name is Kerry Cooper. I'm the owner of
Your name is Gary Cooper.
Kerry with a C.
Okay.
Close. Almost, you're right, almost as good looking.
Okay.
Same here.
I am one of the partners and the main partner of Life Kitchen. Life Kitchen is currently operating on Clark and Hubbard in Chicago. Our restaurant is all entrees, 600 calories or less, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, 1,000 milligrams of sodium or less. Two chef inspired by Art Smith, and who's Oprah chef, and Tal Ronan, who's a vegan chef. We have vegetarian, vegan options, but regular, great tasting meals. And we've been very well received in River North, and we look forward to being at Evanston. We're very excited. Opening hopefully in the middle of April.
Great, great. We're not even surprised that you chose us as your next location.
We're very excited.
Any comments about this? Hearing none, just really good luck.
Thank you very much.
All right, committee, all those in favor of recommending Life's new liquor license to the council, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Next.
Madam Chair, I'd like to move item A15, ordinance 8-0-14, increasing the number of Class C liquor license for Horizon Group Management LLC, doing business as the Crystal Residence, 1611 Chicago Avenue. And this is for an introduction.
Okay. Hi. Want to introduce yourself?
Oh, yes. He's back. Jeff Michael, I'm the COO of Horizon Realty Group, the owners and managers of the North Shore Retirement Hotel. We're here before applying for a Class B license. As you are, I think, are all aware, the facility is undergoing an extensive renovation, rebranding, and repositioning project. And as part of that project, we're hoping to expand dining services, number of venues, and enhance the dining experience. And along with that, to offer the sale of alcoholic beverages, particularly in the new lounge that's being built there. And more importantly, we are renovating the ballroom at the North Shore and hope to have a robust business of outside catered events, which is the impetus also for this request for the license. In connection with that, we've hired Unidyne Corporation, who has extensive experience running these types of facilities throughout the United States, and they will be overseeing the operations and the sales of those beverages. We fully anticipate that they would be ancillary to the offering of the food service primarily, which is going to be the driving force of sales there.
When you say lounge, what can you describe that? You said adding alcohol to the lounge area.
We have a lounge that's basically an annex to the ballroom. It's going to have a food menu where they're going to serve hors d'oeuvres there, heavy hors d'oeuvres, and we anticipate that the residents will be using it before dinner, after dinner, to go and get light fare, or as an alternative venue to eating dinner there.
Interesting. Okay. Any comments, anybody? Where did you come up with the name? Crystal?
Actually,
I want to say Crystal Palace, and
I want to point out that that was going to be the name. We've recently changed routes, and I'd prefer not to make the new name public just yet.
okay. But it's not going to be Crystal Residence.
The ballroom will be called the Crystal Ballroom at the
Okay. All right.
to be published name.
I think that's. Oh, I see. Anyway, okay. So thank you very much. This sounds very interesting. Sounds like it's really getting freshened up and renovated. So
We're almost there.
When do you expect completion?
Well, phase one, which is the renovation of all the lobbies and the common space in the existing building, we're anticipating that to be done probably end of April. And we're going to have a grand opening, and that's when these new dining venues will be
Okay.
opening,
Yeah.
and the ballroom and everything.
All right. Yeah, great. All right. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of recommending this to the council, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next.
I move A16, ordinance 9-0-14, increasing the number of Class C liquor licenses for A Bite of China Incorporated, doing business as Lao Ze Huan at 1633 Orrington Avenue.
All right. This sounds interesting also. Anybody here from this organization?
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Patrick Deacon. I work for Tony Hu.
Hi, my name is Kai. I'll be the GM of the Lao Sichuan restaurant, Evanston.
Mr. Hu is a pretty famous chef in Chicago. He's been looking to move into Evanston for quite a while and he's finally had an opportunity here. He's looking forward to opening up Lao Sichuan. Mr. Hu is sitting in the back there.
All right, anybody want to say anything about this? No? It's you?
Can you pronounce the name again?
Lao Sichuan.
Thank you.
You did well.
And who are you going to be your neighbors? I'm trying to get an idea where in Orrington. you're located.
1633 Orrington, next to Church in Orrington. JT restaurant? Yeah.
Oh, the grill.
Right next to JT.
Thank you, sir.
All right, anything else? No? Thank you very much. We're glad to have you.
And we all see you soon.
Okay.
If I see a winter
Let
up
us know when you're ready. Okay.
soon. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor of recommending Bite of China to the council, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item is A17.
Madam Chair, I move ordinance 11014, increasing the number of Class D liquor licenses for HKK LCC, doing business as HKK at 804 Davis Street.
Second.
Is HKK here?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Talk to us. Hi.
My name is John Kim, one of the managing partners of HKK. We actually have a change. Our name is going to be Boltwood, Boltwood.
Of the high school,
Of the high school,
principal
yeah.
and cafeteria.
And cafeteria, where three of our partners met during their freshman year of high school. So-
Which hall was that? Do you know?
I do not know.
Boltwood
It's the
and-
freshman.
What?
Yeah, it's
The freshman
cafeteria.
Back in the day, it was.
Isn't
one
the
of
place of
North
detention?
Southeast
Isn't that where they do detention right now?
South Hall?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
All right, well, that's a really, I thought that was a great story.
Thank you.
Yeah. Welcome.
We're excited. We're excited.
All right, can you tell us anything about your restaurant?
It's going to be a new American restaurant featuring kind of farm-to-table, locally sourced foods. And so Chef Brian Houston from the Publican is going to be running the kitchen in the back, and I'll be doing the front-of-house operations. And so we're excited to bring some food that is kind of from the farm to the table.
And to get a fix on your location, who are your neighbors?
It's the Lulu space. So
Right,
yeah.
I knew that. I'm trying to block that, though.
I know.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Sounds great. Anybody have any questions? No? Thank you.
Very good. Thanks.
We're on a roll here. All right, all those in favor of recommending Boltwood license to the council, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, next.
Ordinance 10-0-14, enacting a new subsection 3-4-6-M of the city code, Class M liquor licenses.
This one I don't understand, but I'm sure somebody does. I mean, I don't, who's going to get these licenses? Who's going to, Grant, can you tell us about who's going to get these licenses? I mean, it's not just going to be one license out there.
Well, as far as I know, Madam Chair, members of the committee, there's only one prospective licensee. This license request did arise from a recent enactment to the state liquor code. Mr. Sandrock's here. I can tell the committee that there was a great amount of discussion over the business model and the particulars about this, but I will defer to the applicant to speak to those issues.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Richard Sandrock, investigating space here in Evanston based on a company called The Grain and the Grape.
The Grape what?
The Grain and the Grape.
Oh,
We'd be selling homebrew and winemaking supplies to people, hobbyists, who engage in these activities at
It'll
home.
be a retail store.
It would be a retail store, yes. Part of this business model is that it involves educational classes where people can kind of come in and, as part of that education, participate in making these goods on site. It would allow for them to, for the store to ferment beverage, and then these people could come and pick that up after the fermentation process is complete.
Okay, yes.
So, Madam Chair,
Grover.
think about it in a very simpler version is the paint your own pottery places, where you have parties and you
I get
create
it
this
now,
product.
yeah.
It's kind of both craft and beer.
I get it.
Certainly.
And,
Alderman Braithwaite?
Located?
I don't have a location as of yet. I just found out this week that a competitor is decided to move into a district I was looking in.
Okay.
I don't know that they're pursuing this exact course that would require a liquor license, so it's caused me to reanalyze where I might end up moving this shop.
Okay. Well, one thing we have to keep in mind, and I think I'm correct on this, is, first of all, this is just establishing an ordinance. We cannot issue a license to someone who doesn't have an address, right?
That's correct.
A location. So you'll be back. I mean, you're just really arguing in favor of the ordinance. So you'll be back for applying for a license once we pass this. All right. Well, good luck. I hope you find a location.
Thank you very much.
I know some good vacant spaces. I'm referring them right over to, get in touch with Alderman Braithwaite.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All those in favor of recommending the new Class M liquor license ordinance to the council, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All righty. Next on our agenda is options for City Evanston electricity purchases. It's that time of year again. Huh?
Good evening, Madam Chair,
Evening.
members of the committee. Dave Stomack, Utilities Director. We're up tonight to talk about purchasing electricity for the city-owned buildings that have to purchase electricity. As you're aware, several of the buildings get electricity on their franchise agreement with ComEd, but any of the buildings that generate a revenue cannot. So we currently are under a 3-year contract with Constellation, formerly Exelon, and that contract expires on May 14th. The current contract does include 25% renewable energy credits. Annually, the city uses about 23 million kilowatt hours, and based on our current cost, we spend approximately $1,125,000 purchasing that. We went out for indicative pricing to get a feel for the market, and we received 6 responses by the companies that are listed on the screen. We averaged the prices together of those 6 respondents to come up with the information that we're presenting in this slide. We initially went out for 1 year, 3 year, and we also sought prices for a 4 and a 5 year contract as well. But the 4 and 5 year contract was only for the electric supply. It did not include all the additional costs. We felt a little bit hesitant to proceed with that because we weren't sure we were comparing apples to apples on that basis and how they would charge those additional costs. We do know that the actual price for the electricity is lower now than what it was when we bid the price 3 years ago, but all the add-on costs have gone up, and we know that what they are going out 3 years. We also know that there's a great big spike in the capacity charge that starts in the first year, it gets even higher in the second year, and then comes down in the third year. So when you look at this slide, you can see that the price for a 3-year contract is actually cheaper than the price for a 1-year contract, and that's all based on those add-ons that they bring up. Based on my experience working with the council during the aggregation programs, the council also sought 100% renewable energy as well. So although 3 years ago, when we first did this, we did 25%, we feel that either we're going to go 100% or we're just going to go with the state mandated 8%. Pricing-wise, this table shows what our current price is, and again, that we spend about $1,125,000 annually. If we go with the average price of the 6 respondents, you can see that the price will go up about $77,000 over what we're currently purchasing or paying for it. And if we go with the 100% renewable, it increases another $49,000. So we met when we reviewed all the proposals with members from the Utilities Commission. We had a subgroup, and staff, Catherine Hurley and I were there. And we believe that when we go out for the actionable pricing, which we would intend to do in 2 weeks, that we would only seek prices for a 3-year term contract, that we would seek prices, excuse me, for the state mandated 8% and then for 100% renewable energy. One of the other things, when we asked the indicative pricing, we were asking about energy efficiency programs, and the responses were varied. And so one of the things that we're proposing to include in our contract would be to insist that they complete 3 energy audits for us during the 3-year term. So they would complete 1 energy audit every year, and then we could use that.
You mean at different buildings or at all?
In different buildings. 1 building each year.
Right.
And actually, I'd like to bring up Catherine Hurley at this time, who's going to talk a little bit about the energy efficiencies.
Well, what about the green energy? It's contingent on it being 5%, right? Of the
That is our recommendation, yes. And the prices that we received, again, just in the indicative, is that it's about 4.5%. If we were to go with the 5%, we believe that it's an additional $60,000 over your mandated 8%.
And this is a condition known to all the bidders, right?
That's correct.
That should encourage them to keep the price.
Correct. Correct.
All right. We're in a little trouble.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Catherine Hurley, Sustainable Programs Coordinator. As Director Stonebeck said, in addition to trying to help contain our costs by getting the best cost per unit, another great way to help contain our costs is by using less energy.
Right.
So, next slide. In the last few years, the city's worked on many projects to help increase our energy efficiency. And actually looking at our bills, sometimes we plan projects and we also use more energy because the lights are on more. But looking at the bills, we've saved about $180,000 since 2009 on our bills from all of our energy efficiency projects. Those include things at the parking garages, the water plant, some street lighting, and some of our community centers. And we funded these predominantly through grants and rebates and some city money, but predominantly through these sort of great deals. Now, energy audits are really important because before you do a project, you need to know how much energy your facility is using, what the project would entail, what its payback would be, and often in order to get the rebates, they want to see that you've had the energy audits. So it's an important component, but it's also the kind of thing that paying for an energy audit up front before you do any project and know whether there's savings, that sometimes seems like a hard thing to do. So we've gotten several audits completed for free through our various state agencies and state programs, but our contractor for the electricity supply could be another great partner. They're all looking to get that competitive advantage, and in the overall cost, the scheme of things, the over $1 million per year for contract they would get, an energy audit is a very small cost for them that they can basically just absorb as sort of their marketing and kind of good faith effort. In the indicative pricing, we did ask some questions, as Director Stonebeck said, asking for them to describe their energy efficiency services, and the answers varied significantly. They had lots of different things that they mentioned that they could do, and so we, with the Utilities Commission, agreed that we wanted to be very specific on any scope of services we would ask for, and because that first important piece is doing the energy audit, we all agreed that it would be good to recommend getting 1 audit per year so we could have more facilities where we have a better understanding of how much energy is being used and what those quick payback projects would be. So our recommendation for this final request for proposals with the actionable prices would a requirement to include that the winning supplier perform at least 1 energy audit each year. Of course, if they offered to do more, we would welcome that, but 1 building per year. The buildings that we have received audits recently include the Levy Center, the Ecology Center, Fleetwood Jourdain. We had one at the water plant, and we had a little bit older one at Chandler. So we have lots of facilities left still, including the Civic Center, the library, police and fire headquarters, or the service center. So we would look to have 1 energy audit performed per year included in the base cost by the winning supplier.
Any questions from the committee? One point that I'd like to make, this is the time when we start talking about this, that these rogue energy companies are out, number one, knocking on doors, number two, doing robocalls and all sorts of things, scaring the heck out of people, confusing them mostly.
Right.
And I think it would be really helpful if we put out something publicly, maybe a press release about what we're doing and what we're not doing, and people calling you up about going with their energy company is not part of the city program.
Right.
Okay, yes, we can certainly do that.
I'm sure all the aldermen have heard about, is this the energy company,
Yeah, you get the calls all the time. It would really be good. I'd love to print something in my newsletter to make people, I remember, I think I called both of you all last year because people were so confused.
I'm confused. Alderman Grover?
Thank you. Ms. Hurley, when the one slide that said we'd saved $180,000 in energy savings since 2009, funded through grants and rebates, the grants and rebates were used to install equipment, install new bulbs, all that kind of stuff that has produced then the energy savings for us, right?
That's correct. It's been a combination of the federal stimulus, energy efficiency and conservation block grant. Those were a significant projects altogether, but the city's also taken advantage of the State Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. So, for example, the lighting at some of our parking garages, we complete the project first, and then we submit the application to get the incentive money back afterwards. And we've been able to take advantage of good timing and get sort of the bonus deals. So we've had several projects that had almost 100% paid for.
But your estimate of our actual energy savings, that is electricity we haven't had to buy.
Yes,
in
correct.
those 3-4 years,
correct,
amounts to about $180,000.
Correct. And we continue to see those savings year in and year out.
No other questions? All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Hearing nothing else, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you.